Hello, and welcome to the Generational Business Podcast, where we explore the complexities of family enterprise and speak with second and third generation leaders to discuss how to run a successful business. My name is Uchenna, your host. Thank you for joining us. Hello, my name is Uchenna and you're listening to Generational Business, where I speak with next generational business leaders to find out what factors drive longevity in family enterprises. Today, my guest is Mr. Chidi Anyaegbu, the Executive Director of Chisco Group and Managing Director of Chisco Energy. Chisco Group is one of the nation's leading conglomerates with interest in transport, logistics, hospitality, real estate, and oil and gas. Established in 1980, the company has branches in 28 states of the country, as well as in West Africa. Welcome, Chidi.
Hi, hello.
Hi. Tell us more about Chisco Group.
Yes, I'm second generation of the founder, who's Chief Dr. Chidi Anyaegbu, MFR. And obviously we've been on for over 40 years now. And we started in spare parts sales, in which obviously he did his apprenticeship under his former master, who now let him go after 3 years with a starting capital of 150 naira, in which he has used to build all the companies that we have now.
That's fantastic.
And we obviously the first was spare parts sales, then Chisco Transport was born, which is obviously the most popular company in our group of companies. And from there, all the other businesses came up, namely the haulage division, the real estate, oil and gas, and every other ancillary business that we do. Because mom was chop.
That's fantastic. So when did you get started with the business?
Myself personally, I joined in 2013.
Okay.
After I moved back to Nigeria and doing my NYC in PwC, and after that I was, I would say, emotionally blackmailed to get in. But it wasn't a bad decision so far. And we started in 2013, and I started a Chisco Energy subsidiary with help from him, and we are where we are today with our retail stations and our storage facility that we have, and all the current businesses that we do as well, which we oversee.
Was this something that you always wanted to do?
Officially, I would say yes, but unofficially, no, because when I was a lot younger, he was telling us that, okay, just understand that. I mean, he blatantly lied to us and told us that he was a poor man and that like all the money that he has in the world is what he's giving to us to go to school. So I say this as a joke regularly, but it's the truth. He literally turned all of our school fees invoices into loan agreements.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, so he was like, look, this money I'm about to spend, I don't have it, but we have to like make some cuts other places, and you have to make sure that you go do well in school, and then you agree to pay me back. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I will pay you back when I start working, and I have to sign.
That is brilliant, actually.
Yeah, so we did that all, and then by the time I was in my final year in uni, I started applying for jobs, and I was getting headhunted, and I was really like trying to push, and he was like, what do you think you're doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to like start this payback. Like, and he's like, yeah, when are you going to come back to Nigeria?
Right.
And, well, back and forth here and there. And then obviously, I mean, that kind of like, I don't know what, the way I was feeling at that time, I was in England and it just doesn't feel like home.
Right,
of course. It's, the cultures are different. The people are different.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, there was something just not right the way I was, how I was there. So one Christmas, 2010 Christmas exactly, and I quit my job and just moved back to Nigeria.
I love the story of making you guys understand the value of money and what was being invested in your education. I think that's a good way to introduce money to kids, especially when, you know, you do have the
I mean, he made it a thing of, we don't have money. Anything that you need, let me know. But anything that you want, go get that yourself.
So you learn early on, like, I need to work.
Yeah, he literally gave me, in my first year in England, he gave me £50 for the term.
Really? I love that. I love that story. So when you joined the company, how was it? Did you feel the first couple of years, because first of all, you were not working for them while you were in school. So you were being introduced into the company when you joined.
I always did summers.
Okay, so you'd work
in the summers, I would come through and I'd just follow him around.
Okay.
Or he would just put me in the accounting department and then they just give me any work. So
you were familiarized with the business.
Yeah, and then most summers he just encouraged us to get jobs. So sometimes I used to I worked in Fidelity for a bit.
Okay.
And I worked in Stanbic as well for a little bit. And then just summers where I could.
Yeah.
And then most of the other times, even after I did those ones, after I finished from Fidelity in the evenings or on the weekends, he would be like, come with me.
Come to the office, right. What was that first year like?
Well, in Chisco.
Yeah, did you start from the bottom and work your way up?
Well, when I first joined, I didn't have any position. I just sat in the meetings. So we have a weekly operations meeting where every single company under the group comes in and then we go through the numbers and the operations and know exactly what's going on. So I was part of that on a weekly basis. And he just like, after that, obviously it's like this meeting's going for hours. It's like almost like 8 hours at a time. So like you're being introduced into like what actually are the issues. And obviously he would now say, look, these are the problems that you need to resolve. And you start going through it. It's very overwhelming, obviously, but obviously I have my older brother who was in the company who already entered as well. He was there. I think he had already been there a few years, so he also gave me some advice. I mean, that's why I'm quite appreciative of my elder brother, because he went in with notice on exactly what to do and all that. He had to like figure all that stuff himself, and you know, it was very difficult for him because you see somebody as that's your father, and then to switch to your boss, it's very, very difficult. It's very emotional. It's not very professional at all. I mean, there wasn't any like, hey, this is how you're going to do it. This is what you should do. Don't think this way. Don't take this personally, blah, blah, blah.
You're just thrown in there.
You're just thrown into the deep end. And then literally how it was going to be, I mean, it wasn't per se easy, but it was easier for me compared to my brother because he just said, look, don't take this person because he talks wild, like, and you kind of have to be I mean you kind of have to be a beast in this like climate. So
because that's also how they came up. That was the environment
there wasn't any petting,
wasn't nice.
Or any
people
like
didn't carry you along,
if you enter one of these meetings, it's almost like it's not nice.
I can imagine. What is the biggest misconception people have about family business, working with your loved ones? What do you think that, you hear a lot from people, but they don't know that that's not really how it is?
Obviously, people feel that just because like the boss is your parent, that it's going to be easy. Like you just sit around and then they just say, my daddy told me this, and then they just throw money in your account.
Right.
And it's all like, so I mean, if that's what some people are experiencing, man, I jealous them, but like that wasn't the case, and I'm sure a lot of my friends that also work in their parents' companies is not like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of like things you need to overcome, and I mean these things are also personal because
it's your family.
It's your family. Like by the time you can't separate the two. Like that's family and business at the same time. So if it's affecting him, it's also affecting you.
Of course.
So, and in some other businesses, they might say, oh, the business is making a loss, blah, 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 but it's not your business. You're still getting your salary and then you're good.
Right.
You can just, on the weekend, you can disconnect. But, I mean, with a family business, you cannot disconnect because whatever happens, as long as you're in there, and if the business goes down, everybody just goes, yeah, his kids took over. And
so that's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because I feel like for me, that was, when I first joined, I felt like I had to, subconsciously, I felt like I had to fight that. because you're being told that, like, or I felt like people get in their ears that, oh, don't give this into your kids, your kids can then and I'll give them stories of people whose kids have messed up the business. Yeah. And so for me, my own experience was like, I felt like, okay, you know what, I have to prove them wrong and I have to, do things like this. But no, you're right about that. It's family, it's business, it's personal, it's hard to separate, it's your identity.
Yeah.
So what you're carrying on your shoulder is a lot heavier than what the average person is carrying on theirs.
You literally have skin in the game.
Exactly.
So it's as much as, I get told about ownership spirit a lot. And obviously I know the difference between when I used to work in PwC or when I used to work in Fidelity and when I worked in Chisco, was that I didn't really care like what was going on. Like, oh yeah, just at the end of the month or by 6 p.m. or when my work is done, I'm done. But like here, it's like the adage of "Wahala no dey finish."
At all.
The work is never stopping. You have to manage yourself somehow to just. And anywhere that you go that is associated with you, you have like a moral obligation to make sure it's actually going correctly. So it's not like you can just enter somewhere and they're not doing their job. Then I have to like get into it.
So research shows that a majority of family businesses don't make it into the third generation. Why do you think that is the case, based on what you know now?
First off, like a lot of people understand business in a very one-dimensional way. It's not, how would I say it? It's not one way.
Yeah.
There's numerous ways to make money, and whoever is the person who is handling their business has figured out their own personal way. So obviously, if you go from business to business, obviously I think the business model is the same, but how they go about that business model is different. So when we're in school, we're being told about this is the way business is being done. But then in reality, business is done in numerous ways. So there are some businesses that somebody cannot enter because it's literally the person who's been running the business that knows how the business goes. And then there's other businesses that there are systems in place.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that the person doesn't have a system, but the system is not documented to the point where somebody can say, okay, this is the place that I'm going to enter, and this is my job description, and this is my KPIs, and this is exactly how I'm going to go into it. And luckily for me, Chisco has those systems. So it was I won't say it was very easy. It's not as like developed as a Fortune 500 company,
right?
But there are systems. It's just it just needed a little bit of documentation here, technology here, and those kind of things, and it's running. And there are positions, there are obviously corporate governance and all that. It's there, but it's not in the way of how we were taught in school. So like the difference is like when people say, okay, the reason why this doesn't work is because the parents don't want the children to enter, or the children are useless and they are jebos, they don't understand business and all that. It's not necessarily that
the case, right?
It's a situation of, okay, number one, the parent needs to put in the system for the person to be able to understand or be patient enough to teach the child how to actually enter into the business, because teaching is not easy.
It's not.
Like if anybody has been around children and like when they're in school and all that, it's not very easy. So you have to be a very patient person, and for you to be able to survive in this environment, patience isn't there. They are very, very like aggressive about trying to get it in as quickly as possible. So those kind of things, it's not easy for the two generations to be able to interact effectively for everything to go on. So it's I think those are the issues. Some businesses, children can't even enter because it's like literally just a relationship thing.
Yeah.
So you can't enter a relationship that seniors you. So if that relationship is still going on and you try and do it, by the time he steps aside, all those things they're lost. So it's like the business is gone. Or even if you have a system, like it's also on the kids as well, because they literally enter and just start like bad mouthing everything. It's like, oh, this system is not good, there's no computers here, there's not that, and then it's like the father or the mother is looking at the kid and going like, yo, but like this is,
I built this.
Yeah, I
scratch.
built this.
Yeah,
Don't
this
come here and just tell me that I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So don't just like badmouth everything and say, oh, this is not right, this is not, because that system is what put you through school. So it's just that everybody has their part to play, and a lot of ego needs to drop, and for that to actually work. And most of the time, your parents are set in their ways. They're not going to change for you.
Right.
You, as the younger one, that literally, I mean, they taught you how to eat.
Right.
Like, what makes you
true,
think that you know
that
more
you
than
know,
them,
right? That you know better.
It's like, it's just a lot of ego, a lot of pride on both sides, and all that just needs to be put in a perspective for somebody to be able to know, okay, this is exactly how I'm going to go in and make it work.
The thing I love about your story is that your dad started from the apprenticeship system that, you know, people are now understanding and studying. And I think that system is quite brilliant. Do you feel like some of his experiences shaped his leadership style and the way he relates with you guys as it relates to the business?
Yeah, I mean, he understands that you need training. You need training and you need to be hardened for the streets, literally. He understood it, but the difference in corporate and like the apprenticeship scheme is that after a few years, they literally just give you a little bit of money they can give you and then you're off. But then in this one, it's like there needs to be like career progression and all this kind of like, I mean, these are new age kind of policies and structures, but you know, one is just more basic and one actually carries you all the way up.
Yeah, so you don't feel like one is better than the other in this country?
They're both needed. With education, obviously, you now know about motivation and discipline and all those kind of things. But like if you're just in the village and then they need to teach you about how to buy whatever material that you're going to be selling, all those kind of things, and how you put the books together and all that, those are very basic. Okay. And how to get customers, how to like, I mean, you learn that in both sides, but one is more rugged than the other.
So you'll be approaching your 10 years of working for the business next year.
Yes.
What do you feel like, looking back, you would have done differently?
I would say, first of all, understanding that whoever is the person that you're going to go work for is also a human being. He's trying his best with the knowledge that he has on ground. So there was a lot of resentment at the beginning when I say something and he's like, he just literally just throws it away. But he didn't, it took a while for me to understand his communication style. Right. So it's like, he may be saying, oh, this idea is stupid and all that. And then when you hear it, it's like, okay, I brought the idea. That means I'm stupid. Right. But then, and then at the end of the day, you still want me to, and then you're like, I want to resign, but I don't want to resign. I love him, but like I hate him. Like, you know, it's like, it's a situation of, you know, he's literally just trying to, first of all, okay, this is a business that he's known. This is a business that in every other climate is meant to be a lot bigger. But then because of the way the country is, it's like all that is pure willpower. So like all of a sudden, when somebody gives you an idea, you, as a young person, you're only looking at it from your own perspective, but then you have not taken into consideration reality. Now, reality now comes in the government regulation, comes in with agberos on the streets, coming with the staff. You know, there are a lot of things that needs to be like held and controlled before you can say this idea is actually going to sail through. So just understanding where it's just the communication style is different, and just understanding the person that is your boss and also your father as a human being, because as we get older, we then now realize that these guys they also don't know as much as they come out to say that they do. But you know, they're just trying their best. You know, and you can just take it like that. Once people understand that, there will be a lot of leeway and a little bit of empathy, so that everybody can sit down and actually understand what it is that we're trying to do. And
that we're all on the same
same team. there's one
Rooting for
goal,
the same
there's
goal.
more than one method of getting to the goal. You just have to
Exactly.
agree on the method.
Exactly. Now, when you joined, speaking of staff, did you feel like you had to define your position to them, like you had to earn their respect and their trust? Did you feel like that?
In my case, I don't know about every other person's case, but I was brought in and I was literally just given, okay, this is what you're handling.
Okay.
So it was having to understand exactly how they were doing it. So as I came into the system in Chisco, I was put in the our haulage division when we still have the contract with Nigerian breweries where we're doing a lot of their transporting. So we were having a lot of issues with diesel shortages and maybe like half payments and those kind of things. So I was basically just told, okay, go in, find out who are the people that are our suppliers, find out who are the people that have supplied, find out the people that have been paid, people that haven't been paid, and just put it in perspective. And obviously, as I get in, some people will come, they know that, yeah, I got son, and then they'll try and be nice, but then also at the back, they're trying to...
Right.
So there was a lot of that, but it took some guidance and, you know, when they tell you to get into things, like you see people that literally saw you as a kid.
Right, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
You're going
tell
to have
them what to do, right?
Not necessarily tell them what to do, but like just say, look, this is what chairman told me to do, and what do you think? And then they're going to say their own, but like obviously, they're never going to be on the side of. You just have to. I don't know. Somehow, I just have to just figure it out. But when I came in, I mean, it's a very stark difference between my personal life and my work life. But at work, I literally had to be like the bad guy.
Yeah.
You just have to be the bad guy.
You have to. That's actually a
Don't
fact.
go in and make friends. Like, they're not your friends.
Nobody's your friend, really. Yeah. That's interesting that you put it that way, because it's the same thing here. You have to just come to that realization that there's a lot of politics. It's none of your business. You have something to accomplish.
Just
focus on it. Get it done. Yeah. So, for you now, how do you plan on bringing your kids into the business? Knowing what your experience, everything, how do you plan on, do you feel like you're going to do the same thing that your dad did, where like they know the business, but they don't really know that, or they don't have the knowledge, they can work for it? Like, how do you plan on kind of bringing them in? Do you want them to be a part of the business?
They have to come in a way that is suitable. First of all, they have to have an interest.
Do you want them to?
Of course.
Okay, you do.
In the grand scheme of things, we're all humans. And who are the people that most likely are going to have your back? They're most likely going to be your family.
Right.
So, but you can't, that's not sustainable because it's a limited amount of people. There's millions of people out there that can join the workforce. But if you continue just employing your family, then it's not a very, very good environment. But what you can do, which is something that I would, is, first of all, the difference between a parent and a child is very different from manager and subordinate. So the manager and subordinate relationship needs to be established immediately they step in. First of all, you must understand that you have people that are more senior to you in this system. Yeah. And you must respect that, because if you go anywhere else, if you work for a company that is not associated with our company, you would follow the rules. So follow the rules here as well. And then also the difference between the human beings is that every other person that their parents are not the owners, they don't have the advantage you have, in that if you have any problem, you can talk to your line manager, but like the real solution to the problem is known by the owner. Right. And you have that access to the owner to go say, look, this is what I'm seeing. What exactly is the real problem here, and how do we solve it from both sides? Because a lot of the time owners don't see what employees see. Of course. And a lot of the time employees don't see what owners see. But then in those kind of situations, you have an insight into what employees in your own company see. Not necessarily to say that the owner is doing a bad job or like the employees are doing a bad job, but it's reality. We're all human beings, and that's an advantage for whoever is the right person in that space, because obviously it's not everybody that's going to be the right fit. But that kind of knowledge is the best way to go about resolving the problem from a really objective point of view. So if in my own case, I feel obviously there needs to be a proper training system. There'll be proper onboarding, which obviously there are in the system, but it's just to make it better. And then if they choose to come in, great. If they don't, then obviously there just needs to be a structure of, yeah, you can go and work somewhere else, but I mean, you only get what you work for. I think that's the only thing that is the best way to go about it. If they're not ready to work at all,
right,
then they don't get any money.
Yeah.
But then if you're ready to work and you're ready to put in the work, the system would allow you to progress, as well as the added advantage of actually having somebody behind you. Because realistically, who else in the world has your back more than your parents?
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So they want you to, I mean, if they may have an idea of how they want you to do it, but you must just understand that they want you to flourish. But then you now have to figure out your own way of going about it. If it's in the system, great. If it's not in the system.
Part of what inspired me to start this podcast was taking a course on family business here in Nigeria. And a majority of the people that took the class were founders. So they were trying to understand how to introduce the business to their kids and how to bring them on board. And it seems that a lot of them were struggling. So what I like to ask everybody that comes on is, you know, if you were to give a word of advice, since you're the next generation leader, if you were to give a word of advice to somebody who is contemplating joining the family business, what would you tell them? How should they approach it? You know, tips and things like that.
I would say, first of all, just understand that your parents are human.
Right.
And you are not also the smartest person in the room. So it's a situation of understanding that it's already a business that's been existing before you got in there, and then they have the system may not be the way your school told you that a system should be. But then your job as going in there, number one, is to understand that you are an employee as opposed to the owner of the business. And when you are an employee, if the only advantage, the only difference between a normal employee and you is that you have access to the owner. Most employees may never even meet the owner, but like you can literally go into the owner's bedroom and say, oh, this is what I'm seeing. And they would advise you to the best of their knowledge and for your own benefit as opposed to their benefit. Most times, I don't know, maybe some people have narcissistic parents, but like in those kind of cases, I'll say that you're unlucky, but I've been lucky. I've been lucky not to have that. But yeah, just understand, first of all, you're an employee, you're not the owner of the business. Your parents are the owners. They have set up a business in the best way they could in an environment that doesn't enable a lot of people to survive. So when they hear ideas or they hear corrections, number one, it may seem like you're literally telling them that they're stupid, or it's literally an idea that they know would not work. I mean, it may not work according to their knowledge, but they have a better understanding of the environment better than you. So it's just to, first of all, drop the ego. Whatever advice, just try and make it work. They're not going to change for you. And you just have to understand their communication style, understand how it is that they run the business, understand why they do the things that they're doing, and then try and work around it. There's more than one way to achieve results. And if the first way is not working, then you need to go back and think about it again and then come back. Or if you don't want to be there, then just say you don't want to be there.
Right. And be upfront.
And just be upfront. And then, yeah, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
But you need to make a decision.
Yeah. No, that's solid. What is the best business advice your dad has ever given you?
Best business advice. Okay. There's capital and there's profit. Don't ever in your life spend from capital. Only spend from profit. And your job is to grow the capital.
Right.
So anytime you use your capital, you make profits, you can only spend from profit. Don't ever touch your capital. Make sure your capital is working, and as you grow the profits, you take some of the profit, you put it back in the capital, and then you grow from there.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Chidi, for sitting with us today and having this discussion. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Generational Business Podcast. For your feedback and comments, please reach out to us via our socials on Instagram at Generational Business Podcast, Twitter at Gen Business Pod. You can also visit our website, generationalbusiness.ng, for more. Until next time, my name is Uchenna. Do have a great one.